Yo, what's up guys? This is another video. I'm going to be doing a trade review of today. This is April 14th, 2026, and I made $0 day trading today. I did not take any trades. I'm going to be explaining the trades that were shown and my bias and thought process coming into the day. So first off, starting on the higher time frame, we can see we're obviously bullish because we're trending towards these highs. We're making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and we're running through all this low resistance liquidity obvious to our obvious 4-hour internal high DOL, as well as being a previous day high. The reason I'm super bullish is because we can see we have this 4-hour AMD phase. We accumulate in this zone, we manipulate lower, and we're having a very obvious distribution, which means we're in the distribution phase of price. We're also respecting bullish gaps. You can see we have this large 4-hour bullish gap, which we're respecting, and we have these bearish gaps to the left that we're clearly disrespecting with big displacement. Coming into open, I had a condition set as this 30-minute gap and 1-hour fair value gap. My idea was if we respect this 30-minute condition, then we can continue our market maker buy model, seek liquidity upwards, which was this daily high and this 4-hour internal high, and draw two data highs, which we had resting over here. Then another scenario would be if we disrespected this 30-minute gap, showing that we have DOLs lower here towards this 1-hour London lows and this 4-hour range, which was super overextended, towards these low resistance draws to rebalance these inefficiencies and rebalance equilibrium of price because we've been pumping a lot. Then we decided to respect the 30-minute gap, which caused me to lead bullish. We do hit this main high time frame draw on liquidity, but this is unimportant because you have to think in context of what it led to, which was generation of liquidity and lack of delivery, which causes me to keep and stay bullish. So we get this 15-second inversion after tapping into this 15-minute gap where we get a strong reaction out of this new condition with an SMT. You can see we have a very obvious AMD accumulation, manipulation, and this is the distribution towards this buy-side liquidity, low resistance draws, and these equal highs, as well as a 5-minute gap, which you could have also targeted. These are great draws and likely to get very ran through, especially seeing this immediate reaction out of the 15-minute with a 15-minute gap. We also had a 1-minute change in state of delivery here, which also makes the trade idea even better, as well as the 9:45 and 10 a.m. PO3. You can see since 9:45 we are constantly manipulating lower, and then finally at 10 a.m. we make our last manipulation leg lower until we distribute out of this 15-minute gap. What's bad about this is that ES looked like completely chopped. You can see if you look back on ES, then we were just completely chopping in range. We had no clear direction, but I ignored it because we still had draws higher on ES, and this looked like a very obvious setup, but I did not end up taking it just because I did not have enough conviction, and I do not take 15-second inversions, but I did really like this, and also Ronan, my mentor, took this as well. Another thing that wasn't super good about it was ES didn't manipulate. This is not too bad, but usually you want true manipulation, you want ES and NQ to manipulate, but since this is a continuation form gap, then you do not have to have true manipulation, and this SMT actually made the trade idea even better. The third thing that's bad about this is that we already hit the major GOL, which was this previous day high, but looking at the lack of delivery that we got, it's still valid to target this buy-side liquidity above. This is the second entry that we got, which is a very good trade. After tapping into the 15-minute, we get an SMT with the 15-minute gap tap, and we have this 4-hour internal low, as well as a bunch of low resistance liquidity to run. What's good about this is that ES still has buy-side liquidity that we haven't swept because ES is holding back and NQ is leading. So we still have a reason to manipulate because ES is not in a spot to distribute. We also have an immediate reaction. You can see we hit this fair value gap, and then we have an immediate reaction with strong displacement, almost taking this internal high. We also close above the body candle, which gives us a CISD. What's bad about this is that at the time of entry, ES has already taken these external highs, which is the 4-hour internal high, which we could possibly return off of, but it's ignored because this has no value to the trade idea because ES was not in a high time frame PD rate at that moment. ES also did not manipulate, but that doesn't mean it's a bad trade. We also just didn't hit a major buy-side liquidity DOL, and we have a little bit of a lack of targets. This is a good draw, but it is better if we start generating liquidity and then get a 5-minute inversion like we did with the 15-second, but we're not always going to get that, and this is still a good draw. The fourth thing that was bad about this is we did not have a stop hunt. This is one of the main reasons I faded, but looking back, on the 1-minute, we had a little internal swoop that led to a good distribution, which I could call a stop hunt, as well as on the 3-minute, we had a very good stop hunt as well. So this was kind of a bad fade on my side, but overall, it was a very good trade. That is the end of the price recap today. Hope you learned something, and subscribe for more videos like this.